I'm back again, back like I never left. Yeah. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How we doing today? Um, we got some good news today. Also, we know we made our 53-man roster cuts today as well. So everybody has been able to look that over, and I'm going to dive into that today. But also, I want to do an overall look on the preseason. I know it is the preseason, but there's still some things we can take from it. So I'm just going to give my aspect of what I took from the preseason overall, and what to look forward to for me going into the season. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So looking at the preseason, I'm going to start with the offensive side of the ball first, and then we'll dive into the defense and special teams as well. Now, the starting unit, speaking on the actual starters, it sucked that we were compromised somewhat, meaning that the tight end position was compromised. We came into camp with 7 tight ends. We all know the story, and the depth was definitely tested. Logan Thomas coming off the PUP list, and then also John Bates having his injury, and then the rookie that we drafted, Cole Turner, as well, having his issues in camp. So the tight end position in preseason was tested, but we did have two guys, matter of fact, 3 guys step up, undrafted guys, and Amari Rogers, and then also Curtis Hodges, and then the other tight end they had, I think his name is Eli Wolf. He did a pretty decent job as well. Now, a guy that I want to bring up, he's no longer with us, but Samus Reyes, it was made known early. Apparently, the coaching staff did not like what he offered offensively. We didn't see this guy touch the field on offense at all in the preseason, and ultimately that led to him being released. So he came to agreement on an injury settlement with the team. So he is now free to shop and see if he can latch on with another team, and we shall see. But the starting offense in the preseason, I'm not going to lie to you. There's some positives, and then there was also, negatives as well. I know for me, what I've always wanted to see and what I like to see in preseason is, you put your starters out there, they go out there, and you plan to have them out there for 2 to 3 drives within reason, and you see them go out there on that first drive and be able to strike fast and look very, very sharp. You see a lot of teams do that. They plan on having their starting offense out there for 2 or 3 drives in a game, but they end up taking them out after the first because how sharp everything looked. Unfortunately, we didn't have that happen here in Washington. We know Carson Wentz, first year in the offense, and being with the team. Also, really, if you look at it, I know we had Curtis Samuel last year, but he rarely played. The guy was here, but he wasn't really here. So we had 2 additions in the receiver room, Jahan Dotson, and then I'm going to say Curtis Samuel as well. And then we know what Terry McLaurin does. Terry McLaurin, he shows promise as always. He did what he was expected to do in the preseason. But on that first game, it took us a while to get on track. We didn't take a lot of deep shots. A lot of the stuff was dink and dunk, just kind of trying to get the timing down. So, far as the weapons, the positive is that we do have Curtis Samuel, and he seems to be healthy. So the plan that Ron Rivera talked about seems to be working, knock on wood. And it seems that we will be having Curtis Samuel week 1 against Jacksonville. So I've seen some good things. They were getting the ball in Curtis Samuel hands in that first game, basically just showing and getting his rhythm and confidence where it needs to be heading into the season. All off season, it was discussed, with Curtis Samuel doing interviews, talking about his confidence took a hit and things like that. So you like to see that, him getting back in rhythm, getting that confidence back up. Now, the one thing that did frustrate me in the first preseason game, I'm just looking back and going over the whole preseason, that we didn't get the ball in Jahan's hand. But I knew Scott Turner was going to make that an emphasis in the second game because I knew that, rookie receiver, all these positive reports coming out of camp. We know what we have as far as the talent, the hands, the ability after the catch as well, something that will spice up this wide receiver room. So that second game, we were able to get Jahan Dotson on like a bubble screen pass, and you've seen the ability for him to catch the ball, but not only get upfield and get yards after the catch, which we desperately, desperately need here in Washington. We were expecting a lot of that last year with Curtis Samuel, but the story with that, him being injured. So now we have a guy who is a natural receiver, but also has the ability to get yards after the catch. So the second game, he had a really strong showing, and that's definitely showing positive signs moving forward. Now, one thing that I think we can go ahead and check off the list is the infinity for tight ends with Carson Wentz. This for me now is not even a question. This now is the truth. Even having an undrafted guy like Amari Rodgers and Curtis Hodges playing for us in this preseason, you've seen Carson Wentz concentrate on getting the ball in that tight end's hands. Amari Rodgers, was able to have 3 catches in that first game. And then in the second game, he had some good catches as well. So Carson Wentz definitely loves the big body guys. You see that when Logan Thomas comes back and Cole Turner and John Bates, they're definitely going to be an emphasis in this offense. So, like I said, Carson Wentz definitely feels comfortable with the tight ends. Also, we want to grow that relationship of him feeling able to get to his check downs, dump it down, not forcing things downfield. Now, outside of the receiver room, we know Brian Robinson's situation, what's going on. I did a video on that. He's back in the building. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Definitely a blessing. Thank God that he was able to pull it through, and he still has his life, and he still has the opportunity to be a running back here in Washington. But the running back room, we had a surprise. Going into the year, everybody was really, really high on Antonio Gibson, and I'm not off the Antonio Gibson train by any means. I'm a huge Antonio Gibson fan, but as we know, Brian Robinson comes out in the preseason, scores the first ever Commanders touchdown, and then also a lot of his carries. I mean, pretty much 98% of his carries, every carry I've seen him take this preseason was for positive yardage. He does a lot of the things that Ron Rivera and his staff likes. He puts his foot in the dirt. He gets north and south, and he rarely puts us in negative yardage. So it looks like he's taken over that premier back spot, which now puts Antonio Gibson in a spot to where he's able to be used in a lot of the ways that we were looking forward to him being used when we drafted him coming out of Memphis as a receiver. He still has that dynamic ability. We're going to definitely see some of that. Also, when Brian Robinson gets back, and Ross also spoke in his presser today, it's still not off the table with Brian Robinson not being able to play right now, that he could still be on special teams doing some kickoff return stuff and stuff like that. So they're definitely going to try to capitalize on his playmaking ability, getting them in space and things like that. So another takeaway from the preseason on the offensive side at the running back position, Brian Robinson took the Bulls by the horn, took the opportunity, made the most of it. J.D. McKissick had some splashes as well. Big play in the preseason. Then after that, we know they set him out because he had a soft tissue injury that they didn't want to get worse. So overall, even with the now known situation of Brian Robinson and in the gunshot wounds, I still will say that this running back room is in great shape. As of right now, like I said, hopefully we can get Brian Robinson back and he will be able to perform at a high level that I know he's possible of doing. Now, talking about the offensive line, John Masco, this preseason, he really put on a show. I mean, from the starters to the second string to the third string lineman that he put out there, I mean, there wasn't really a lot of pressure getting home at all. If any, Carson Wentz took a sack, but that was, due to him trying to extend the play and make a play on the third down that we had got penalized the play prior to put us in that position to where he felt that he had to be able to make a play. I mean, you want to try to avoid those type of situations, but unfortunately, he took a sack there. And then outside of that, Sam Howell, We know what he did in North Carolina, running the ball, and we saw a lot of that in the third preseason game. A lot of the stuff we've seen from him in North Carolina, we've seen that stuff going on in that third preseason game. So, Sam Howell took sacks in a couple of the preseason games, and definitely in the third preseason game, the backup lineman, which a lot of those guys didn't make the team anyway. They were allowing pressure to get to the quarterback, and he took some sacks. Now, let's go ahead and jump over to the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line showed promise. There were times where they were getting pressure, and let me just say this: my man Montez Sweat looks like he's about to have a year. He looks in great shape. All off season, all training camp has been reported that Montez Sweat is absolutely out there killing it, and you've seen some of that in the preseason games. Him getting to the quarterback. I mean, he was literally like one finger away from making a lot of sacks, and it seems every time that he almost gets home, the quarterback just gets the ball out. And we know we faced Baker Mayfield, who has the ability to extend plays very well. And then in the second game when Montez Sweat played, we played Patrick Mahomes, which I just like to call him a magician, because that's what he is. So, we won't be seeing quarterbacks like that very, very often, if any, So hopefully, like I said, it looks like Montez Sweat is going to have a great year. We know Chase Young is on the PUP list right now, so we won't see him for a while. And then, as far as the two D tackles, Deron Payne, and then also Jonathan Allen, there was times where, they were able to get pressure, definitely look stout in the run game. You would like to see them get more pressure. In that second game against Kansas City, they were showing by the commentators that, there were some times where the Kansas City offensive line was able to hold these guys, and they weren't able to get any pressure. And the only guy that was really getting pressure back there was Montez Sweat. So, like I said, the defensive line is showing promise. Hopefully, like I said, we can continue to get better in that position group, and hopefully we can get the pressure that we ultimately need. Now, on to the linebacker position in the preseason. The one thing I want to talk about, Jamin Davis. Now, the one thing that I'm glad is the coaching staff and the players have not lied to us. We've definitely seen growth in Jamin Davis. Now, I'm not saying that, he's on the cusp of being a star or all pro, but there's definitely growth from last year. And that's all you can really ask for at this point. We wanted to see the guy that we drafted in the first round last year on the field. And he showed a lot of flash this preseason, was very sticky in coverage. And it's crazy because in coverage, it seemed that Cole Holcomb was having more trouble in these first couple preseason games than Jamin Davis was. So, I'm still high on Cole Holcomb as the mic as well. Want to give him this opportunity and this shot. I think he can do the job very well. And he's always pretty sticky in coverage. But like I said, when you're facing guys like Patrick Mahomes who can extend plays, you got guys in coverage for more than 3-4 seconds. I mean, it's really hard to be able to stick to a guy longer than that in the NFL. So, we'll get a true evaluation once the season starts and see if Cole Holcomb really has adjusted to this mic position. And like I said, all 3 preseason games, I was impressed with what I seen from Jamin Davis. Yes, there's room to grow, but from last year to where we are now, you definitely see that there has been growth in his game. So you're definitely glad to see that as well. Now, one of the things that I have stressed over and over and over, the cornerbacks. Let me get on them real quick. Now, to this point, as you know, we had cuts today. So some of these guys I'm talking about, they've been released. But outside of our top 3 corners, William Jackson III, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St-Juste, which Benjamin St-Juste, they got him in the inside. I like him on the outside, but they have him inside. In that Kansas City game, you've seen where he almost got exposed. Patrick Mahomes just missed the throw, overthrew his guy. So, like I said, I love him on the outside, but Ron and Rivera and his staff, they want to have their best 3 corners on the field. And Kendall Fuller is better outside than he is inside. So we're kind of in a predicament there. Now, everything behind that was absolutely garbage this preseason. Danny Johnson was absolutely horrible. As you see, he was cut today. And then also the other cornerback that we had as well, Um, Now he's off the roster now. I can't even remember his name, but horrible as well. The depth on this team is now a true issue. We only retained four cornerbacks: William Jackson III, Benjamin St. Juste, Kendall Fuller, and then the rookie Christian Holmes. Now, Christian Holmes, he's a rookie, made a lot of rookie mistakes this preseason, unnecessary penalties, tackling guys when they're already out of bounds. And then in the last preseason game, the refs threw a flag on what could have been a pass interference, but the ball was uncatchable. So ultimately, they picked up the flag. But one thing I will say is, for the most part, he seems to be in position. So hopefully, with him watching tape, growing more as a professional athlete, he will start to recognize some of them things and be able to have more pass breakups. There is growth and there is room for him to grow. So, like I said, the cornerback depth right now is that question. We only are rostering four cornerbacks. Now, I know we're far from done, but this is the state we're in right now. In the preseason, there was nothing there at the cornerback position as far as depth-wise that I was impressed with. Now, I want to go ahead and clear this up. I got to give my guy Kendall Fuller his flowers. A lot of people down on Kendall Fuller. He did have 2 touchdowns scored on him. The first one, the first one, Sam Darnold throws up a prayer ball. Montez Sweat right there for the sack. He's falling back. He throws the ball. He puts it in a place where Kendall Fuller couldn't get in on it at all. And that formation, the guys coming across their end zone, and he snuck behind Kendall Fuller. Like I said, nothing he could do there. And then the second one was on a tight end who's a bigger guy, and the placement of the ball by Patrick Mahomes was just something that you got to deal with. That was a beautiful pass. I re-looked at it multiple times. There was nothing he could do there. But outside of that, Kendall Fuller has been very, very sticky in coverage, making a lot of pass breakups. You love to see that. I believe Kendall Fuller is a dog, man. It happens to every corner, but like I said, you see where he flashes on tape when he makes these big pass breakups. Now, the safety position, my dog, Cam Curl. I gotta say this, he's one of my favorite players on the team, but he struggled this preseason. And we only got a little sample size, so I'm not gonna harp on it too much. None of this of what I'm talking about is me trying to harp on it. At the end of the day, when we get in the regular season, that's when we can do the real evaluations. But Cam Curl seemed to struggle a little bit. Hopefully, this is just preseason struggles and we're not looking at something to look forward to. I know he's a dog and I know his ability. So hopefully, like I said, it's just something that, getting back into the season and stuff like that, getting back in his rhythm, because like I said, I know Cam Curl is a dog. Now, Bobby McCain, another guy I want to give his flowers to. This preseason, you seen him make sure he stay over the top. He did get caught on one pass, but like I said, that was more of Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes than Bobby McCain. Bobby McCain, if you notice, he's always a step or two from making big interceptions, man. He's almost there every time. He just, like I said, that play, Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes, was able to float one over the top, and he still was kind of there, but just a little late in the coverage. But like I said, if the defensive line is doing their job and we're able to get home earlier, plays like that won't happen against common, regular NFL quarterbacks. So I'm really, really high on Bobby McCain. He's starting to become one of my favorites on this defense. And I think for the most part, the safety room is pretty solid. So, with that being said, let's talk about something that is really, really concerning with this defense, and that is the third down defense. Now, first and second downs, we're putting teams in compromised positions, but as we know from last season, what we dealt with, and that is getting off the field on third down, these third and longs. Now, it looks a little different because last year it was a lot of, people miscommunication, being out of positions, guys 30, 40 yards open downfield. This year, like I said, we've seen Patrick Mahomes in the second game. The first game, Baker Mayfield was able to make some plays and extend some plays and stuff like that. So that's still open question for me. I don't have the answers to that one. That is a big question for me. Are we going to see an uptick in this defense being able to get off the field on third downs? Because, as we seen in the preseason with this starting unit, it still seems to be an issue, but we shall see if we're able to actually, when we get to the regular season, get off the field on these third downs, because we can't do another season of these guys not getting off the field. And it's really deflating to the team as a whole and to the offense when we got these drives going on. We put these teams in these second and longs, and then next thing you know, we're giving up first down. So now I'm going to jump on the special teams for the preseason. Joey Sly, Ron Rivera talked about how from when he was in Carolina to now, he's seen the growth and the confidence in Joey Sly. Joey Sly comes out the first game after Brian Robinson scores the first ever Commanders touchdown, misses the field goal kick. I'm like, okay, second game comes out. The last game comes out. We're in 40-yard on the 40 somewhere, 46 yards, 43 yards, somewhere in that ballpark. Comes out there, shanks another one. We can't have these issues. We have done this for too long with the kickers. We need a solution there. Ron said, for whatever reason, Joey Sly gets super excited for his first kick of the game. But he's a professional at the end of the day. He practices. Whether it's the first kick, the last kick, what's going to happen when we get in these big game situations where we absolutely need it, and he's feeling the pressure or he's getting too excited and he gets out there and shake one. We need this guy to be solid. As we know, in the last game against Baltimore, it's ultimately the preseason, but he misses that 43 or 46 yarder. We lost the game 17-15. Okay. So if we would have kicked that field goal, we would have been up by one. And not saying that we would win the game or anything like that, but that just shows you the magnitude and how big it is that we make these field goal kicks. They are very, very important, and we have to have them. So Joey Sly, he's another question for me. I'm sorry. I understand he did fairly well for us down the stretch in the season last year, but this preseason, he's not showing me that I can be confident and just sit back and relax when he goes out there to kick the ball, and that's just where I'm at with it. So far as the actual kickoff and punt return duties, as we know, like I said, roster cuts were made today. I was not a component of keeping Alex Erickson on this roster. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that he was able to secure a lot of the kickoffs. And then also, he didn't put himself in danger, but he was slow. The guy could not get upfield. Every time he would try to turn that corner, he would put us in negative yardage positions. So I was not mad, and I ultimately thought that he would not make the roster because I knew that I actually liked him more as a receiver than I did a returner, to be honest with you, Alex Erickson. But Dax Mills, a younger guy, he can do the same thing, and I love him as a receiver as well. So I kind of figured that they would go that direction and let Alex Erickson go. Like I said, when he tried to turn that corner on a lot of those kickoff returns, he was just slow, couldn't get to the corner, and ultimately was losing yards. I was not impressed with our special teams when it came to kickoff return and punt returns at all, especially coming off a guy like DeAndre Carter last year who, put us in some good positions and was able to provide for us as a receiver when we needed him. And then also, was able to give us some sparks like in that Atlanta game. So that's where I was at with the special teams in the preseason. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the 53-man roster. So I'm going to start. No surprises at the quarterback position for me. As we know, Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, pretty much what we expected. We released Cole Kelly a couple weeks ago. So that pretty much, we knew that was going to be the quarterback room. Now, where it starts to get funky is, and we knew when the situation with Brian Robinson Jr. happened, we knew that was going to change a lot of things. Now, the running backs, we have 4 rostered running backs. The guy that they end up letting go was the hometown kid, Jared Patterson, which I like Jared Patterson a lot, but it made sense that they kept Jonathan Williams instead because, like Ron Rivera said in his presser today, Jonathan Williams provides more of running style that you would get from Brian Robinson Jr. So they ultimately decided to keep 4 running backs right now. And Ron Rivera specified a lot in his presser today that they are not done. This is not, close to what the final roster is going to be. So that position leaves open. Brian Robinson, it was surprising they did not put him on the PUP list or IR. So we still don't have a lot of information on when he will be back. Won't be rushing to, for him to get back at all. I want him to be healthy when he comes back. But he is on the active roster right now as we speak. Roger Arthur Robinson Jr. looks like he will be okay sooner than later. Yeah, most definitely. It's definitely a good sign, Roger, that I just said, they didn't put him on IR or the PUP list. So it leaves it open. We don't know if this means the 3rd week, 4th week, 5th week. We shall see. Ron is pretty tight-lipped right now with that situation, rightfully so. As we know, the media is sharks, and we don't want to have any expectations or them keep asking them questions about, hey, you said Brian Robinson was coming back this week or that week. So it's just good to know that he's okay, and I'm glad to see that he's on the roster. I'm still pretty confident in our running back room. Like I said, I did love what Jonathan Williams did this preseason. He seemed pretty solid. Most likely they'll be using him in the short yardage situations until we're able to get Brian Robinson Jr. back. Now, moving on to another interesting position, the tight end room. They kept 5 tight ends. Very surprising. I did not expect the guy that I did not expect to see on here is Curtis Hodges. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that, he would be a practice squad guy. And I think that ultimately once the roster is game day ready, I think that he might be on the practice squad. But Ron Rivera said in his presser that they liked all 5 of these guys. And then also look at last season and the issues we had at the tight end position. We had injuries there all last season. And then also this preseason, we seen what that tight end room looked like. So having a lot of bodies there isn't a bad problem to have. And like I said, Amari Rodgers, he definitely showed promise in the preseason. Curtis Hodges, you've seen some things with him as well, although he will have to get better definitely in the pass blocking situations. Cole Turner, another guy, the rookie. We didn't get to see him, which is unfortunate because we know that the preseason reps are important for speed. A lot of times what rookies always talk about is, the biggest adjustment for them is the speed of the game once they get to the NFL. So, now he won't get any reps until we actually are in a regular season game. Roger Arthur, all 5 are pretty damn good. I think Hodges is like 6. I think you were saying 6'8". Yeah, man, he's huge. Like I said, a lot of these Amari Rodgers and Curtis Hodges, both of these guys, 4 undrafted free agents. They have promise, man. I really loved what I seen from Amari Rodgers in the preseason, man. He definitely shows promise. So we shall see what they ultimately do with that. But I know one of the positions I'm about to talk to, this position could possibly help that in a sense by keeping that 5th guy. If we knock one of these guys onto the practice squad, then we'll be able to address another position on the 53-man roster. So wide receiver room, no surprises there for me. This is what I thought they would do with the 6: Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown, Curtis Samuel, Dax Milne, Terry McLaurin, Cam Sims. Like I said, Alex Erickson, I liked him as a receiver, but I felt that we can get the same thing from Dax Milne and probably even more. So I love the way this wide receiver room looks. Cam Sims, I think that we need to he needs to be getting some of De'Ami Brown's minutes. I'm sorry to say that. In the preseason, De'Ami Brown had the opportunity to, get that old thing back with Sam Howell, his old teammate from North Carolina. He didn't take advantage of it. The guy dropped two crucial passes. Now, one thing I will say, I see the growth in De'Ami Brown, and I know last season he was put in a compromised position because of what the wide receiver room looked like. and they were expecting more from him than he was ready to handle. But when he was out there against twos and threes, in that last preseason game, it was definitely his time to shine. And for whatever reason, it seems to be a mental thing for him, because I know he's a great athlete. And we saw some of the dynamic ability he had at North Carolina, but he's having some issues with drops right now. You hate to see that, but I'm not giving up on the guy. I think that, like I said, it's a mental thing. So we shall see. Roger Arthur, Dax is going to be good on returns. Most definitely. Like I said, I love Dax Milne. And his ability, not just as a returner, but like I said, also he flashes in the pass game as well. As you know from last season, he made some big catches for us in some big moments. So definitely love what we're getting from him. We shall see where he goes. Brown kind of played bad in the last game. Yeah, most definitely. Last game was really disappointing because I felt like it was his time to shine. It was like, hey, De'Ami Brown, you the featured receiver in this game. Let's see what you can do. And when the lights was bright, even though it was a preseason game for him, that was a big moment because, like I said, he was playing with his old teammate in Sam Howell, who was definitely going to favor him, in which he did favor him a lot in this game. I want to see, like I said, Cam Sims get more of an opportunity. I think that he showed up big. When Taylor Heineke laid him out to dry, 2 plays later in that second game, comes out there, scores a touchdown. Cam Sims shows you some of the ability of what he can do. And some of those longer throws that Carson Wentz made, I think he took 2 shots in the preseason. One of them was to Curtis Samuel. The other one was to Amari Rodgers. You would like to see stuff like that go to Cam Sims, man. I mean, look what he did to Trayvon Diggs last year in the end zone for that touchdown. So, I'd rather you throw that to Cam Sims than you throw that to a 5'8" or whatever Curtis Samuel is receiver. So, like I said, I'm hoping that Cam Sims is afforded more of an opportunity, man, because I think that he should definitely get some of the snaps from De'Ami Brown because, like I said, De'Ami Brown is having some mental issues right now with the drops. Hopefully, he can correct the ship, but Cam Sims, to me, is awarded some of those opportunities over him. That's where I'm at with it. Now, the offensive line, no really surprises there. I know a lot of people thought they were going to keep 10 offensive linemen, and I think Ron did want to keep 10. He talked in his presser today, but unfortunately, like I said, with the Brian Robinson situation, this shook up a lot in shaping his roster, believe it or not. So we kept 9 ultimately, but he also did say somebody asked him about the new additions to the practice squad and how that works. They're able to do some things to be able to retain some guys in case we need to pull a guy up and play in the game for us. So we definitely have room and ways to do there. So now let's jump over to the DM position. Now, Shaka Tony on the roster. They got rid of they got rid of what's his name? Bradley King. They got rid of Bradley King. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not. I do love that they kept Shaka Tony. I think that Shaka Tony has excellent bend coming off the edge. He was able to make some plays in this preseason, and I would love to see them do something different this year. On third down and longs, when we need it, we need to put straight pass rushers out there, having nothing but speed. Guys like Shaka Tony out there, Montez Sweat, when Chase Young gets back, and then, having somebody else that's quicker and able to get in there and get some pressure on the quarterback. So, I like that they kept Shaka Tony. Ron Rivera said that Shaka Tony impressed in camp and he sees the growth in him. So hopefully we're able to see more from him until Chase Young gets back. And then, they kept James Smith-Williams, Casey Toohill. I knew Efe Obada would be there as well. It seems they're going to be rotating these 2 guys, Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams. So we'll see how that goes until Chase Young get back. Let me see here. I'm looking for a good year out of Casey Toohill. Yeah, man, Casey Toohill, I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't expect too much at first, but now I'm starting to see some good things from Casey Hill. So I'm expecting him, like you said, to be between him and James Smith Williams. I'm expecting them to be able to man that position and really hold it down until Chase Young get back. Like I said, in the preseason, the defensive line did not look bad without Chase Young. So it seems that this defensive line will be able to still generate a lot of pressure until Chase Young gets back. Montez Sweat looks like he's ready to have a season. Hopefully he can stay healthy, and hopefully we're able to see an uptick from Deron Payne, and then Jonathan Allen does what Jonathan Allen do. But the guys did look stout in the run game. I will say that. Now hopping over to the defensive tackles. Daniel Wise had a really strong preseason. Love what I've seen from him. And then for Darian Mathis, another guy that I love in the run game. The two guys that we have behind Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, really, really happy with what we're seeing from these two guys. And I think we have solid depth at that position. I know a lot of people was worried we moved on from Tim Settle and can't remember his name. He's now Carolina. But that position seems to be solidified. So that pretty much is how I seen that room shaping up. Now, let's hop over to the linebacker room. To be honest with you, man, I got to say, a lot of teams around the NFL are running these two linebacker sets. We have 5 rostered linebackers right now. Of course, Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb are the starters. And then Ron Rivera and his staff love David Mayo. Says he's stout in the run game and he knows what he's doing. I'm not a big David Mayo fan. I would be lying to you if I said I was. But he made the team as well. And then Milo Alford and Dejon Harris. Dejon Harris, I don't know what it is that they see in him. And I'm not saying that he hasn't been doing good. It's just that I don't have a lot of information on him. Maybe he's a core special teams guy and he can help in that aspect. Maybe when we get to one of the other positions that I'm about to get to after that, maybe, they're able to bump him down as well. And we're able to, add to this next position I'm going to be talking to. So we shall see how this linebacker room shapes up. But I definitely, it's not out of the question for me to still look and see what we can get possibly in free agency. Now, one thing I want to bring up, Ron Rivera said in his presser was, a lot of times as fans, and I get stuck in this trap sometimes, we look at talent and we think like, oh, we should go get this guy. But one thing he said was, sometimes you have a guy on your roster that knows the system and knows what's going on, and he may not be as talented as somebody else athletically that you looking at possibly picking up. But it could be a big mistake bringing that guy in because he said if we bring a guy in, we expect him to know what's going on and be able to contribute from day one. And I think that's very important and that's very valid that he made that statement. That's something we got to look to, and I try to look to as a fan. But sometimes it's hard because you see guys available, and that there's a position because we know what's going on with our team. I don't think that we've been over dramatic or off stance for what we feel that we need on this team. So sometimes we see a guy and we want him back. You know what I'm saying? Or we want a guy and stuff like that, and that's how it goes. But we shall see how it goes with this linebacker room. Ron Rivera's famous quote, "We like our guys." That's what I'm gonna run with. You know what I'm saying? Roger Arthur, Daniel Wise looked good too. Yeah, definitely looked good. Roger Arthur, I kind of want Collins back. It's definitely surprising that Collins is not on the team. I was actually talking with somebody earlier about that. And I think a lot of that could be because of Landon Collins. And how, he doesn't want to be called a linebacker and, he wants to be a safety. To me, I don't care what you call it, dude. As long as you do your job, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. But it's definitely shocking that he's still currently, far as I know, not on any team, and I would definitely welcome him back as long as he's willing to play the role that they carved out for him last year. So now going to the room that I'm ultimately concerned about, ladies and gentlemen, the cornerback room. Now, I talked about earlier, and I've been putting the emphasis on this cornerback room, the depth is non-existent. Today, we let go of two guys in that cornerback room. Danny Johnson, not sad about it. He looked absolutely horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible in preseason. Every single pass that it felt like I seen in all the preseason games, you seen number 36, Danny Johnson, getting cooked up, getting smoked up and blown out. It was absolutely horrible. You know what I'm saying? And anything we had behind that didn't look good as well. So right now we're only rostering 4 cornerbacks, our 3 starters, and then the rookie Christian Holmes, which I figured they would keep because, I mean, let's be honest, he's the guy they drafted. Now, Christian Holmes, I like the physicality, but he makes rookie mistakes, and you expect that. He had a horrible penalty on the sideline, a late hit, and then in the last preseason game, the ball wasn't catchable, but he definitely was there early. So you just see some of the rookie mistakes, and you see the Similac. You know what I'm saying? He still got that Similac on his breath, but I do like that. A lot of plays, even if the ball is catch, he seems to be right there. So with watching tape, becoming more of a professional NFL player, hopefully he's able to see some of that stuff before it happens and we start to see him develop more. But Ron Rivera said in his presser today that he was impressed with Christian Holmes. I was really shocked to hear him say that. But like I said, he's a guy that they, watched and had an affinity for. They drafted him. So we're definitely going to have to address that cornerback position. There's no way we're going into the regular season with 4 cornerbacks. And like I said, with the extra tight end, and then also having an extra running back, and then, right now in the defensive end position or the linebacker position, I think that we need to bring in at least 2 cornerbacks. That's where I'm at with it. I want to see us bring in 2 cornerbacks, 2 depth pieces, because this cornerback room, we're in cold red right now with this cornerback room. Roger Arthur, let's get Joe Hayden and another. I'm right along with you, man. I think we need 2 cornerbacks at least. I'm not comfortable with just bringing one in. We need to bring in 2 cornerbacks. And like I said, what we had here for depth was not acceptable. Danny Johnson and the other corner we let go of, they were absolutely horrible. So we're definitely going to have to do some work there. But like I said, with some of the extra people they kept in other position groups, I think we'll definitely be able to make that happen before the season gets here. And like I said, Ron said if they do bring a guy in, though, they expect them to contribute right away. So safety position, no surprises here for me. Big shout out to Jeremy Reeves. Made some huge plays this preseason. I'm always critical of Jeremy Reeves because he's known somewhat of kind of a headhunter at times. And then, I always say he make a play, take a play. He'll make a big play and then get a bonehead penalty. But he definitely flashed. He posted on social media, super excited to make the team. I'm happy for him. I never hate on the guy. I hope he, does really, really good for us this year. And I don't see why Jeremy Reeves couldn't possibly play some of that Buffalo nickel for us. We shall see. I'm just throwing that out there. Let me know what you guys think about that possibility. Derek Forrest, another guy they seem really high on. We seen him in some of that Buffalo nickel package as well. He seems confident this season. We shall see what he looks like. And like I said, there's no really big surprises at the safety position for me. Percy Butler, the rookie, he has growing to do. You see the athleticism getting sideline to sideline, but he did drop an interception. You've seen that, and then also you've seen when the receiver that the Ravens had absolutely smoked him and the cornerback. Was that Danny Johnson over there? It could have been Danny Johnson over there. Smoked both of them up like a Newport. Had a gap of like 15 yards and high stepped into the red zone. That was absolutely embarrassed. But like I said, Percy Butler, a rookie, has promised. We shall see, what happens with him. But he did make the 53-man roster. And then special teams, we got Tressway, Joey Sly, Cameron Cheeseman. So that's the 53-man wrap up. Like I said, there's going to be changes here. Don't think that this is the final game ready week 1 roster. There's going to be some shakeups. And there's definitely, like I said, some surprises with how many tight ends they kept. And then also, the situation with Brian Robinson, now they have 4 rostered running backs. So we shall see what changes we make before week 1. Roger Arthur, I like Jeremy Reeves, hard worker. Definitely a hard worker. I won't take that from him. Like I said, he'll make a play, but sometimes he makes bonehead plays, and it really irritates me, especially when we get 15-yard penalties. And Roger, these referees, man, I was telling my boy earlier, they are getting worse and worse by the year. Some of these unnecessary roughness penalties and stuff they're calling is absolutely ridiculous. It was Johnson. Yep. Figured it was good old Danny Johnson. Man, like I said, he looked absolutely horrible this preseason. I'm glad that we ultimately moved on from him. But like I said, we got a lot of work to do at that cornerback position with depth, because right now I'm not happy with what I'm seeing. So we shall see what they're doing. This was pretty much, like I said, a 1 and 2 show, a wrap up of the preseason, and then also a look at the 53-man roster. We're not done in Washington. We got a lot of work to do. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. It's your boy, RVA from VA, Richmond to be exact. Peace.